Hello and welcome to B&D Now, a podcast about independent game development. I'm your host, Tobiah Marks, and with me today is Devane Martinez
What's going on? I've been here for a while.
and Andrew Severns,
Hello.
both veterans to the show. And I brought you guys back because I wanted to talk about game jams. Game jams are always so much fun. Every time I get an opportunity, I want to go do them. Really, what a game jam is just a hackathon focused on games. Sometimes it's a one-day event. Most of them tend to be weekend things, like Friday through Sunday. Sometimes they're a week-long or a month-long. A lot of cool games have come out of game jams. Some of my favorite games, actually, have started off as game jam projects.
Ditto.
But I've seen some talk lately. I remember reading an article in Gamma Sutra that said, are game jams a waste of your time? Are they worth your time? And it made some arguments that, maybe you didn't need to devote that weekend and lose that sleep and get sidetracked or, go on these random goose chases for prototypes that you'll never polish and finish up. So what do you guys think? Are game jams a waste of your time? Like, instinctually, I want to say no, but what do you guys think?
No, ditto. No, I would instinctively. I do want to say no as well. As many as I've been to, and I've been to they're in the double digits at this point. There's no way I would say that they're a complete waste of time. There are definitely times that I regret going to certain jams because of misinformation or just not really planning beforehand on what should have been what I prepared for.
You regretted them not because I regretted the jam itself, but it was like a poorly run.
Yeah, either
jam.
on my end of not preparing well enough, or on their end of not running a well run jam. Like, there's never been I wish I didn't go there, because a bad jam is still a good jam because you're still learning what you should be doing at a proper jam.
I mean, isn't it just bring developers into a room? Andrew, I know you have a lot of experience with getting developers into a room for events, but there is a lot of pre-planning that has to go into that. What kind of things can go wrong?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a whole host of things that can go wrong. But speaking first to your original question, I mean, I don't think game jams are a waste of time at all. I mean, for a new person just getting into let's say gaming and trying to work with people, I think it's a great learning experience. Mm-hmm. Finding out what do you need to do, how do you manage your time, how do you get how quickly do you need to iterate, just working well with people, finding out the resources you have or don't have, and then how do you go about acquiring those or getting around that to make sure that you come out with a somewhat complete product.
Absolutely. I mean, it's unquestionably a learning experience, but what about the developers out there who, everyone needs to learn. Everyone needs to continually learn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even
I'm a
for
pro
the
dev, I got a deadline. We're shipping next month. Is it worth taking out a week of productivity to do a hackathon?
Well, I think that basically just falls into one of those life questions: is anything worth anything? And
we got kind of existential.
It's one of those questions. I mean, it's like, if you have other things to do, then take care of it. But if you actually have the time to participate with, participate 100%, then go for it. Because in some ways, even for the experienced people, it's a time to test yourself. Even if you have a team, you can even think of it as like a team building exercise, where it's like, all right, you're veterans, you know what you're doing. Like, how can you refine your process? How can you work even better or more efficiently with your people? What are some things that you hope to develop in yourself? So it's a learning experience, from the person just starting out to giving them exposure and finding out all the facets of a game development, to a veteran, to where it's like, all right, it's almost like a time to refine what you know, and probably even figure out or find out something that you didn't originally know going into the process of trying to develop something, in a given period of time, or even given certain constraints.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the best time to try out a new idea, get that new prototype out there. And, you might find your next big product was that, thing you wanted to do. Double Fine, I think, is a really good example of a company that takes game jams seriously.
Oh, yeah.
As a direction for their company.
I mean, yeah. What is it? Is it monthly or just or annually? Where they just like?
I think Amnesia Fortnite specifically.
Yeah.
Is yearly.
Yeah. That's the one this year. I'm not sure if they do any monthly, but I know that one.
Yeah, I don't personally work at Double Fine, so I don't know if they've They do
Yeah.
smaller ones throughout the year.
Maybe internally, maybe they do.
But I think that's awesome because like even if you have like let's say gamer development blocks or designer block, like you can't think of anything. I think being thrown in a room with people you may know or not know is a good way to get your mind thinking in a different direction, especially if you've given like a certain set of rules that you have to follow or a box to that you have to build within.
Oh yeah.
Can help jog that brain and start thinking and being creative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, speaking of which, like this morning, actually, like to speak on the whole like putting yourself in a room and like certain constraints. There was a model that I was making for a friend, and he needed it for a project of his, and he needed it by today. And there was one part of it that I know that I needed to like, I wanted to touch. It was done. I wanted to touch it up, and for whatever reason, I woke up this morning. I thought to myself in my grogginess, "Oh man, there's this one thing I totally could do that make it easier." Because I thought, "Oh shit, I forgot to do it." Even though I already did it, and I was like, "Oh wait, I could do it that easily." I totally jitted up and like got it, opened the file, and I was like, "Oh, I already did it." But I was like, in that one exact moment, I was like, "Oh, I already did it the long way." But now under those constraints of what I told myself I was under, I was like, "Oh, I could have done that in half the time." And that's kind of what
you had that retrospective realization.
Oh, yeah.
Because you went through the whole process.
Oh yeah.
And so going through the whole process of finishing that game, it lets you say, okay, now I understand how this is built. So when I need to rebuild it, when I need to actually make production level code or art or whatever you're doing, you understand how the piece is going to come together better, and you'll be more efficient at it in the future.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Like in what I mean, game jams, where like when you go through enough of them, like especially the ones that like put you in a physical and mental toll, like a really heavy physical mental toll, it really helps you figure out how you can time out your much longer projects, development project. Because I know for the first couple jams I went to, I was like destroyed. Like after the first 48 jam I went to, I immediately went home and I must have stayed in bed for like a good 16 hours. I did not get up, and I was like, don't even wake me up. You come near my door, I'm just going to scream at you. But the next couple ones after that, I got better at it because, I wasn't, staying up all the time during the jam. I ate, got things done.
You get better at jamming, that's for sure.
Yeah. Which ultimately I feel like makes you better at, managing your own time when you're actually dealing with much longer projects.
So, I mean,
Okay.
I've kind of stacked the panel here. We're all for game jams. I wanted to touch on that because there was some talk going around. But I have a bit of a selfish reason here. I'm actually organizing my own game jam in September 12th through 14th, called Alpha Game Jam in San Francisco. So I'm already kind of putting together details. But I want to hear from you guys. What makes a good game jam? Because Devane, you mentioned right at the start, you're like, there's certain game jams that were a waste of my time because they were badly run. So I don't want to be that game jam. Like, what makes a jam badly run? I mean, notice it's a vague question. Let's start like more focus. What kind of stuff does a jam need to provide to be a good jam? Is it a good workspace? Is it food? Is it prizes? Is it 24-hour access? Like, what matters most?
Number one on my list is a safe and creative environment. That's absolutely number one, because I speak on this because there was a jam that I had went to a few years back, held on a NASA campus. And when I went there, it was actually kind of scary because it happened to be on a military base not too far from here. And the second I walked up in there was a dude with an M4 like staring me down, asking for my ID. It was terrifying. But that wasn't the scary part. That wasn't the inviting part.
It's not super inviting.
No, it wasn't.
Don't have armed guards at entrance. Let me write that down.
Yeah. But though it was the inside and like how they were presenting things that kind of got like gave me a bad vibe, mainly because the jam in question must be like kind of like a space jam, no pun intended, where
I know the one you're talking about, but you're deliberately avoiding the name.
I am deliberately
but I feel
avoiding
like
the name.
Any listener
they
who
know
knows this
they
area
probably know
knows this jam.
They know. But and the thing about it is that when I went there and they were telling about all the different things they wanted, or they were looking for in terms of like people who were creating the games, they were very themed, and the jam wasn't for like create a awesome game that was for that was space themed or anything that had to do with like NASA mode. It was literally create games that to help us in our production of our own software through means of video game creation, which really kind of gave me a bad vibe.
Yeah,
because I've
in that it's like that pretty much to me that's a hackathon.
Yeah, that's a hackathon. That's not a game jam.
That's not a game jam. That's a
No.
hackathon. Essentially use this existing piece of technology that's being developed or has been developed, and show us in how many other ways that you could do X, Y, and Z. And then the winner, gets something related to that.
Yeah, you see, that was the thing. Is just like if they called it a hackathon, I would have been okay with it. And I probably would not have.
This is fascinating to me. So, like, is a hackathon a bad thing?
No.
I
Hackathons
feel
are
like a hackathons and enjoy myself.
Hackathons are not bad.
That goes to Devaine's original comment about being. I mean, if you're gonna have a game jam, be clear with it. Or how about this? This points to being clear with the information with what you're doing at the game jam. Don't just be like, hey, it's a game jam. Everybody come here and have fun, and then you think it's sort of a free for all for a certain period of time, and then you find out, oh no, here are the constraints, all 30 of them, and you're like, wait, what? I thought this was just a free for all.
Yeah.
I was just gonna have fun with friends, and we were gonna work on this. And it's like, nope, you have to do it like this. And you're
what
like,
kind of constraints are you talking about? This is like mandatory. Your game must fill these, or these like, oh well, in order to earn the sponsor prizes, you have to integrate the sponsor SDK, or like what level do you mean by that?
Well, for me, like referring back to the jam that I went to that wasn't too fun, the Space Jam, again, no pun intended, was that I would have been fine if it was especially said that they wanted people who were there to make the games to help out with their own stuff, even if it was called, even if it was a jam, even if they said, hey, this is a jam, with these kind of constraints and whatnot, but it wasn't really explicitly stated until we got there. It almost felt like they were kind of hiding it in a way, and I was like, that wasn't really cool, like that type of setup. And I guess the constraints for game jams, I feel like there can be any constraints really. Like for me, I don't care. Like you can have as many constraints you want, but what Andrew had said before was that if make it clear about what your reason you're having all these people bring out their time for the weekends or their entire weeks or month for, so they're not feel like they're getting like gypped and whatnot.
Yeah, so that'd be number one for the event that you're trying to put on, Tobiah. It'd be first and foremost, it's clear communication. What exactly is the point of the game jam? So when you were going back to your original question, why should I, devote my time to this? Well, if you're clear with what you're trying to do, then it's easy for me to make a decision.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it doesn't feel like a waste of time, which is Devaine's experience. I would feel my time was wasted if I thought A, and then you said, oh no, we're doing B. I'm like, wait, no, that's not what you expressed. That seems like not just what you advertised.
Common business sense too, because if your goal, like, okay, say I'm sponsor company X who might sponsor Alpha Game Jam coming up September 12th to 14th. I'll repeat myself a couple times there.
Plug it.
And you will say, okay, well, I'm going to provide sponsor prize for the best integration of our product, whatever tool, SDK, platform, whatever it happens to be. That's fair. That's not forcing anybody.
I would say,
you can make your own game. But then if you want, there's this optional extra prize that you could earn. You want to go away with this cool thing, then you utilize that sponsor's product.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, we had an event like that, and we did it was essentially a hackathon, and in some ways it was sort of like you could do what you wanted to do, right? You can hack, you can build what you wanted to build, and there was a prize for, I guess you can say, the open class. But then there was also 2 additional prizes that were pertaining to the use of that product. So yeah, you could essentially have like an open prize, and then you can also state, hey, if you're able though to successfully integrate it into said system or platform, here's another prize. And then making that clear from the onset, again, that communication with the public and your intended attendees that you would like to be there, and that also gives them a little heads up on, exploring what that platform is or what you want to integrate into, because then they can make a decision, okay, do I go for the open prize or do I go for this, specific prize?
Do you need prizes to make a good hackathon?
Absolutely not.
No?
Yeah, I think if we're going to go with the, what do you want to call it, the purist, I mean, if you love developing games and you're going to be there because I would think, for the most part, it might be, for some people, their friends are going, and for some other people, it might be because they get to meet new people and, network and make contacts.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a whole host of ideas, or I mean, reasons why someone would go. And I mean, if they truly love it, just the experience alone should be worth it to them. Or I mean, don't want to say should. I would hope that would be, why they would want to attend, as opposed to I just want to make, the $500 or whatever the prize is.
Well, you
type
touched
of
on an
deal.
interesting point. Are game jams social? Because like we keep talking about them as social. We talk about them as great the way to meet people, and yet, be honest with myself. What I do at a game jam is I lock myself in a room with my team, and I get to know my team intimately. Those
For like
3,
the
4
first
people.
couple hours or something like that.
No, I'll get to know my team intimately throughout the whole 48
Yeah.
hours. But like that's 3 people out of like 100-person
Yeah.
game jam.
Yeah.
And I talked to like nobody.
Yeah, nobody
Now,
else.
was I doing it wrong? Like
No, I would say to a certain extent it can be social, but I think that's the mindset, that's the decision you as a developer make, be it, obvious or not, when you go into the game jam. And again, that even goes all the way back to number one, which is being clear with what is the purpose of the game jam, what are you doing? And then me as an attendee, as a developer, depending on what's going on in my life at that time or just, what I want to do, we'll make a decision. Okay, I'm looking to network, so I'm going to, or meet new people. So I'm going to jump in with a team that I have no clue who anybody is, and I just, want to see what's up and, make new friends. Or depending on what's going on at the game jam as a developer, I can be like, I just want to focus on refining this skill or this aspect, or, I want to figure out with that prize that if there is a prize, for the platform, how do I integrate it in there? And with that constraint and that, hard deadline I need to work with, that's going to be my motivation. So I think that's a mindset that a developer can make coming into the game jam.
Yeah, and for me, like, they're like after my first 3-4 game jams, I started to realize that my strengths were in organization, audio, and like basic 2D art. That was like a real good strength of mine. Like after the first couple ones, and after that, I started to notice that certain jams I would go to would be lacking in certain areas. Actually, the last 2 game jams I went to. And actually, this seems to be a really big trend across a lot of different game jams. Seem to be lacking in the audio department for whatever reason.
yeah, I mean, audio guys are often ignored.
They are.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
less
learned
and less so, but it's definitely getting this weird representation where you have like, oh man, the 2-man indie team. You got the artist, the programmer. They both do game design.
Yeah.
And then they outsource their audio guy.
Exactly. And for me, it's like so when I learned about that and I noticed it,
Audio person, I should say.
Yeah, a person. What I started to do was that when I first got to the jam, we all met in a group and met each other. Like, yeah, let's make games. You all got split off. I would tell everybody, hey, look, I'm going to be a part of this team. I'm going to be making sound, but I'll probably get done with this much earlier than everything else done because the audio portion takes time. It doesn't take as much time as the programming or level design or the art assets. So I'm like, hey,
depending on the game, you don't necessarily need all 48 hours for sound effects.
No, absolutely not. So what I would do is like I'd take that opportunity to go around to the different teams and talk to them, see where their game is at, like get ideas about what they need for their teams, and through that I could start meeting new people, networking and whatnot. So a lot of the game jams that I've been a part of, I've actually been very social and networked with a lot of people.
It's a great point because there are some audio people I've seen going to jams, and they know this. They know that a team needs them for like 6 hours. They need them for that 6 hours, but they don't need them for 48.
No.
So they'll float around amongst 3+ different teams, and they'll work on 3 different games at once.
Yeah, they will.
And those 3 games become so much better having good audio. I mean, we don't need to go over how important audio it is to good games.
For just another event, we did I'm forgetting his name, darn it. But for the company or for the presentation that this one individual did, it actually pointed to that you can, if you had a great game, like it looks pretty, visually it's stunning, but you had crappy audio or even audio that wasn't like when you hit something, it wasn't connected. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hit something and it goes smack, right? If it was off or the timing was wrong, people actually perceived it as being an inferior product.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Now, if you have, you know, if the visuals were decent enough and passable that people would actually, you know, watch it in action, and it had really, really good audio, people's perception is that it is a superior product. And this goes beyond, you know, oh, you know, this is what I'm thinking. It's like, no, it's almost what do you want to call it? It's like in the back of, or subtle, or
no, it's the backbone of that game feel.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
that reaction of when you interact with the screen, it makes that click, and when you press that button, you really felt like you pressed it. And it would be better to have no audio at all than audio that's, say, like 200 milliseconds off.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where it's like
Any day
it
of the week.
feels weird and it doesn't align right. And you can have like a really good game, and you can have bad art, and somebody might accept it. I can see this having better art. I can visualize that really crappy sprite and visualize something better there. But people, like, when it goes from nothing to some audio, it's the same thing. If you can have audio, I can visualize that being a better sound effect. But if you don't have that sound effect there at all, people won't get it. People won't get that connection. You should have some baseline there.
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's a part of the immersion. And again, yeah, it's a subliminal thing, you know, for the perception of what is good and what is not good, in terms of if you're having the sound matchup or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, there was I forget what game jam it was, but it was a global game jam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure maybe you know, and Andrew, you might know about this one as well, where they had the theme was heartbeat, and I was acting as the audio guy, and actually I was also an art dude for the team I was on. So nobody had a heartbeat. Like I think I was one of the only audio guys, if not the only guy, and nobody could find a good free heartbeat sound on the internet. It was very hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why, but I was like, okay, I can make this real quick. So I made one that sounded really good, and I just sent it off to everybody, and every team used it in a different way. I was like, whoa, like. One of them used it in a way where it's like you hit like a heart or something that they had RS in the game, it would like make the heartbeat sound. Another one where they would like speed it up depending on how like fast or how much health you had. Or another one that was purely like, I think it was like sound based, where it's like you had to like listen really close, and like they would built it into the headphones that you wear, like to like where the heartbeat was. It was really interesting to see how it was, and there were some of them
takes on the same
yeah,
asset.
yeah, and in the way that they had. So there was a couple games that used the heartbeat that wasn't really to my fancy. I was just like kind of like they had really, and the thing about it is they had actually really good art. They had probably one of the best artists on there. They actually did some 3D modeling in their game as well. But hearing the way they used the heartbeat, it was kind of annoying, and it was like, your art's great, but I can't stand to play this like very long. I was like, no, really, I couldn't. I actually had to tell them like, guys, like this is really good art, but like you guys get rid of the freaking heartbeat. You don't even
Well,
need it.
I think right there that also brings up something, because I know Tobiah's original question was, what should a game jam provide, right?
Yeah.
And a part of it, like a good safe place would, obviously clear communication. What is your intent? What is the purpose of us being here?
Yeah.
And then number two, a safe place to where you can feel like you can develop and not be afraid of somebody, you know, stealing your stuff or whatever, right?
No M4s.
Now, when you say stealing yourself, do you mean physically being robbed, beaten up?
Yeah.
Or do you mean like,
you know, it's like,
stealing
why
from
do you need an armed guard here? No.
No. I mean, ideas can get thrown all the time. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
as like all of us as developers.
It's worth
I
bringing
think
up
that's a given in a game jam.
Yeah.
But, you know, ideas
is
are all
it-
over the place. So it's like, go in there and don't. I mean, you're not going to hold on to anything.
I've
not.
you know?
personally been to a game jam, and I won't say which one. And this person may or may not listen to the show. So
Hi,
I don't
person, you
know.
may not be
But I was at a game jam, and we formed a random team, and we started coming up with an idea. And it would be inappropriate for me to say who came up with what, because it was 5 people sitting in a circle talking back and forth. And at the end of that 30-minute conversation, we had a fully designed game, and everyone kind of contributed to it. But it was really just ideas thrown around and random, stuff. It wasn't a complicated game.
We had something with ownership, and the only time you can really lock down ownership to anything is like if somebody coded something,
Yeah,
did
that's
the art,
well,
or did the sound.
Uh-huh.
But
You know, when it actually comes to the idea, especially when it's a group thing, yeah, there's no Again, that's a group effort.
Legally, like, none of us are lawyers. None of us can speak to the legal ownership there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But
No,
one
no.
person left the team. We then made the game, and then that person got really upset that they weren't on the credits as the designer. And it's like, okay, you were in the 30-minute pitch meeting, and then the game was designed out over the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
And it was programmed, and it was tweaked, and it was modified. And it's like they were involved in the project for 30 minutes, but they insisted on equal credit. And I gave it to them because it was a game jam. It didn't matter, but it kind of leads to a lot of interesting situations where I'm going to make this random game with this random team. What if it's really good?
Yeah.
What if you want to sell it
What if it's a
afterwards?
certain simulator or
What
something
if
like that?
2 out of 7 team members don't want to?
Yeah.
Like, what if one person out of a 3-person team wants to continue it, devotes all their time to it, devotes the next 3 months to polishing it, they release it, and they only get 33% of it?
Yeah, right.
I think that goes into, like, some game jams will have rules and specs to that, depending on when you sign up and all that stuff. Because, I mean, in some respects, if you go in there and build it on their property using their devices or whatever, it's theirs. Read the fine print. I don't know.
Let's assume
how
it's like most
widespread
game
that is,
jams where
but
it's bring your own
it's
device.
something to be aware of.
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, so there was a game jam that I actually released a game, or at least helped release a game through a game jam that's actually on the Ouya currently, called Monocle Man. I'm sure you already. Both of you guys are familiar.
Multiple Monocle Man developers on this
We
show.
have. It's weird.
That maybe because I'm friends with everyone on that.
Pretty
project.
much. But yeah, so the thing about it was that I did all the audio and sound effects on the first run of the game when we were in the game jam, and it continued on so they could release it for the Ouya. And I wasn't a part of that team then. I wasn't really involved in it, but they brought on a new audio guy, Caleb Grace, a really good friend of mine, and he did all the remastered audio and brought some people on to do some remixes of the songs that we did. But during the production, I actually came in and advised some of it because he was using some of my tracks and stems. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, maybe you could do it that way or something like that. But the entire time I was like, you guys do not need to put my name on this. Clearly he's the one that is the audio engineer on this project. I am not. I'm just here as a consultant, so I don't need to be it. But they were nice enough to put my name in the credits anyways.
Well, I mean, it's good in a friend situation, right?
Yeah, in a friend situation, yes.
Legal issues exist not for when things are smooth.
Yeah,
not
it's
for when you're
smooth,
dealing with friends, not when you're dealing with, frankly, reasonable people who can figure out, hey, I didn't work on this game, I will sign a piece of paper that will yield a right. Or maybe they'll say, well, I did kind of stem the idea. How about instead of half, I'll take 5%.
Yeah, as opposed to, like, there was another. I won't speak on this too much because, again, I wasn't really part of the initial the second half of production, but I did hear that there were other people who were worked on the original idea at the game jam who weren't a part of the second half, that did come back and hear that they were doing it, and they were asking questions about, hey, am I going to be in the credits or whatnot? And they actually, they got into a couple arguments and whatnot, which, you could have escalated the legal problems.
Credits are the cheapest thing.
Yeah, they are the cheapest. Yeah, they are.
The problem is that if you want to actually make money with it,
yeah.
Game, you get to release it for free. It's gone out there. It's polished. That's one thing.
Yeah,
right? but there are companies that are formed from game jam teams.
You are right. Yeah, and the second that we actually told, they actually, the one thing I did hear was the second that they told these individuals that were coming back to see if we were going to make money on. The second they said we weren't making any money on it, they shut up immediately.
Yeah,
that's
all they were. That's all they were feeling out for.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that might be another aspect that you can just put in the little rules or whatever for the game jam that, if there's some dispute on ownership, the game jam, basically throws up their hands like, we have nothing to do with it.
I don't think you need a rule for that. Like, it is entirely like all the game jams providing is the space.
Yeah, just the space.
Yeah.
What you do in it, like if you want to sit there and play League of Legends. Like,
whatever.
I might kick you out because you're not really conducive to the game jam.
But if you're like, actually,
it's not
to a giant.
It's not offensive to me. I'm not going to stop that person.
I've seen that happen before, though. Not to derail this to another topic, but at game jams, I have seen groups that have had ideas, and they were like, "Yeah, this is a great idea. Let's do it." And then there's one guy or a girl that is like brings up something like, yeah, it kind of seems familiar to this one champion or something I played in LoL or Dota or something like that, and then they'll
game here.
answer whatever it is, and they'll pull it up, and then they'll see it, and then somebody else will pull up, and then there's no productivity. It stops. Everyone's playing a game together.
This is more of a problem with student game jams.
Yeah, student game jams. It happens more often than people would think.
Well, you know, they're students. You know, you can't blame them too much.
No.
But you know, talking about like games that can be released afterwards, I want to explore that idea a bit more. What way should you develop your game? This is throwaway code. This is a prototype. It just needs to work, you know, for 10 minutes at the end of this jam, and then I'm done.
Essentially, you're getting the alpha.
Should I be building something that like I should follow some standard coding practices? I should comment my code. I should, you know, spend that, you know, a little more polish on that art to make it so that it will make my life easier when I revisit this asset next week if I choose to do so. Not committing to doing it, but should you take that extra effort to make your life easier should you want to go back, or is it just a waste of time?
So speaking from being in a lot of being in a lot of games, and I've actually asked myself the question a lot. Before, when I first got into games, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna like polish just like to the best of my abilities and whatnot, and I'll be able to get it done no matter what, because I'll just be able to push myself, which ended up not being the case because I'm human, and you know, time constraints are time constraints, and you know, technical problems come up everywhere. But nowadays, I see it as more of a way to condense professional design time, where it's like, you know, production time, to where like when I go into a game jam, anything that I create is just a small scale of what I would usually do in an actual production, like to like extreme degree. So say if I had an art asset that I had to create for a project that was all 3D modeled and all prettied and textured and bump mapped and all this stuff, and I had, you know, a week to do that and just focus on that, and I went to a game jam, I had to do the same exact thing or something similar to that. Instead, I'd be like, okay, I'm taking the same professional take at it as like, I need to be able to measure how much I can get done within the hours it is. So the hours now turn into days. So it's like one, or like, you know, or certain like, you know, maybe
days
2-3 hours. Days and hours. Yeah, days and hours. Where it's like, okay, 3 hours is technically like a day. Yeah. After this 3 hours has passed, I better be at this point. But if not, I just need to keep moving forward. I need to say, screw it. This is not something I need to keep working on. I need to get this product done.
But that's one level of polish. Like, you can always go back and make the texture better. This is maybe more of a technical discussion. You guys happen to be programmers, but like commenting code, I think, is a really great example of this. So many people will just hack together functions and then it'll work. And then when you're going to go revisit that later, you'll take an extra like 6 hours to relearn your code.
That's something that's learned, you know, prior to jumping in. I mean, if you, it's just a part of your discipline. Like, I know there's some programmers that, they just hack it together and they've just never commented in their life. Yeah. You know, and then there's the other ones that do. They pretty much comment everything, or they just comment at, you know, major points and junctures. Yeah. You know, to where like they don't even. Some of them, especially if you're hacking it together and you're just trying to get it done, you can just comment out a large chunk of your code, you know, and then keep going. You know, the code that you weren't going to use, or maybe it was causing you headaches or something like that, you know, and then you just rewrite it and keep on going. So, like I said, if you've already been, you know, commenting your code, I think it's just a natural thing that you will do.
Yeah, and like for again, I'm not a heavy programmer, but like for speaking just like for like commenting or like revisiting, like saying like continuing on with the game, if you know you and the group of people, you know, choose to do so, and you go back and look at the code, it's more of like, okay, so if I'm gonna be making this code, and for whatever, even if I'm making it, just for this jam or whatever the heck, like for me, I would not make the code like so messy that I couldn't look back at it, because what would be the point of me making this code for this game and making it illegible to me and in terms of understanding how it works and not learning anything from it? Because I feel like it's the same thing for for making any other asset and comment and making sure that you understand it later. Because like for an audio thing, when I do that kind of audio stuff, I need to know what steps I took to make sure that this sounded right and what modulators I used to make sure this sounded right in order for me to understand how I could do it later. Same with the art, what steps did I take, how many layers did I use in a Photoshop file, what did I do there, like what.
Yeah, you definitely want to save all your original Photoshop files. I know way too many jams that they just get like the final compressed PNGs, and then later on like, oh wait, I need this slightly bigger.
Exactly. It's like and for code, it's like if you're gonna write the code, if you need to get it done and you don't have time for commenting, fine. But in a way, take some kind of note, whether it be mental or a picture. I don't know, just something to be able to like figure out, what you can do to use this later. Because I mean, maybe it's something that you found out was a really innovative way to figure out a problem, and maybe you want to use that later, not just for that project. But it's a good thing that you should like categorize your steps, even if the game doesn't get done. Because at the end of the day, if the game does not get done when you're at a game jam, it is not the end of the world. It's actually
not finishing is acceptable.
Yeah, not finishing is honestly a great thing, because you could just look back and see, okay, what the heck went
I don't know
wrong?
if it's a great thing, but it is not as bad as people fear.
Well, for me, I think it's a great thing if by chance you don't get to your goal.
Failure is a good thing, and you learn from failure.
Yeah, because you get to learn.
As long as you learn from it.
Yes.
I think that's. Yeah, to not finish, I think it should suck. It should hurt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To know that you did not accomplish your original intention, which was to make something in a given period of time. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, that would be your one and only time that has happened. And again, learning from it and having, a really good, post-mortem in terms of figuring out why and how you can do better.
Yeah.
And again, just immediately recognizing what's going on, what's wrong, and just go from there.
Yeah, that's like the one thing like about like I find this great about failing at a game jam is like when you have a good post-mortem, like because it's something that I love to do at game jams is like after like when like essentially my team, or
especially if they can do that post-mortem like at the stage
immediately
after, when it's fresh in everyone's mind and they have the whole team there.
Which is kind of hard sometimes because people are like sleep
It depends on the scale of the jam,
Yeah.
right? If you have a really big jam with 1,000 people, they're not all going to get stage time to be able to talk about it.
No.
If you got a jam with like 30 people, give them all stage time. Let them talk about their game for 10
and just
minutes.
make sure that it is constructive.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if art took too long, why did art take too long? Was it something we did? Is it, some of the workflow?
What can we do to make it better next time?
And again, and what to do better. And don't be like, well, Tim took too freaking long. It's like, that's not constructive. That doesn't help anything.
No.
And then now Tim's pissed, so you're going to get nothing from him.
Jam though. I mean, I guess that's probably
so
happened.
you won't
Just
know
don't
if
get
it was
on
actually
stage.
you.
And something that I love that I've kept a very, very traditional type of thing that I like to do at jams is that I gather either the team or as many people as I can who are part of that essential jam and be like, let's go to like this local place that's open really late or open at the middle of the day. We're going to go get food. Denny's or whatever the heck.
IHOP.
Whatever. But we're going to go get food, and this is what we're going to do our post-mortem. We're going to feed ourselves, and now we're going to talk about what went wrong in our games. Let's make this enjoyable experience, but also constructive one. Let's be a half and half of it, like a recreational and a very serious thing.
Absolutely.
Since you brought up food, that would be another point. Or another thing for game jams to provide is food. Especially if you're expecting them to be there for an extended period of time.
Not snacks, food.
Yes.
Okay, ideally, gourmet meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That costs money.
It does cost money, yes.
So, pancakes and eggs actually do not cost a lot. And you can
like gourmet meals cost money,
Yeah, sandwiches and all that, that's a real easy one to do, too.
It depends on if you are required to do catering or not, and what the situations there.
Well, that goes to
food
venue.
Food costs a lot more than people think at events. Like when you factor in different services and union groups that have to be involved with certain food and certain venues.
Okay, we're for in general, though, it's like if you're going to a certain spot, as like if you are actually putting on the event, looking for sponsorship, having it as a known cost. It's like, all right, so get a sponsor to provide it.
If you want to
a lot of the
sponsor
times for the
Game
venues,
Jam, please
Yeah.
contact me, Tobiah.marks
Plug,
at
plug.
Microsoft.com.
For us, usually like if we're using a certain venue, we just go ahead and be like, a part of their deal is like, oh, well, can you also provide food? It's like, you can get up there and you
Yeah,
can
I mean,
speak
that's
on
kind
your
of
product or whatever, but also
relationship
provide
there, right?
food. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
that's another thing that we can, stay on stage. It's like, yeah, so thank you for the venue and thank you for the food you're providing. Yay.
Yeah, really, because I've been to some jams that have had, oh God, just like not even chips, not even like like as basic as chips. Like
If I can't provide meals like the whole time,
Yeah.
I've promised at least 2 full decent meals.
yeah,
And then I'm hoping to provide more, but that depends on other sponsorship and all that. But
Yeah.
but speaking of like really bad jams, like we're kind of running out of time, so I just want to touch really briefly what you think is your favorite game jam. Just not even necessarily one that you attended, but one that you heard about, one you thought that was awesome. We don't have time really to go in depth to it because I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours of all the different years of the global game jam. But me personally, I would say Toe Jam. The Toronto Game Jam. Oh man,
about that one.
I live in California. It is worth flying to Toronto for. It is the best game jam I've ever gone to. The people are super friendly. They get this amazing space in this building. Everyone's densely packed together. Everyone's helping each other out. There's a bunch of sponsors, and so there's lots of free food. They have a bunch of fun stuff. Like when I was there, they had a guy selling T-shirts on demand, so you could just give them a logo for the game that you were making. You could wear a team shirt for the game you're making at the jam there. You would print this T-shirt right there. It was just so much fun.
I need to go to this jam.
Yes, it is in Toronto. If you're close to Toronto, you should go.
I have family in some other place that's not Toronto in Canada, so yes, I will be going there.
Canada's big. Hopefully, it's close.
It's on the west.
Okay.
It's on the west, so yes.
Toronto's East Coast.
Whatever. I can take a flight up there. I don't care as long as I'm in the country.
Yes, one can pay money in exchange for an airline to fly you over there.
Exactly.
All right. So, what's your favorite game jam?
So
Like not necessarily one you went to or whatever.
No.
Just like which one do you like in spirit?
Yeah, so the ones I like in spirit are the ones that are quite frankly spontaneous. Not the ones that are like planned out of like really planned. Like, hey, this one's coming up in a couple months. No, I love the jams where I'm either with strangers or people I've just met or people I've known for quite some time. And then this game idea, like it could be even just like we're just walking down the street or like we're at like some arcade.
Just
like,
run pronto one group of people.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's just spend the weekend and do this right now.
yes, like we'd come up with ideas like, dude, that sounds really awesome. And then we're all like confused, like, let's do this. Like I've had that happen so many times, and all those like we created prototypes and we're like, this was kind of dumb or like this is kind of awesome. But I just love that spark of like, oh, dude, we got to run with this right now. We're not doing anything. We're canceling every plan we had, and we're doing this right now because this is fresh and we need to do it. I love those type of jams.
That's how Last Monkeys came to be. Yeah. We like just made up our own game jam. I made a game. Angela made a game. Angela's game was better. It was Blast Monkeys. We went with that one.
Shout out to Angelo.
it was successful for me.
Yeah, no, a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, I've heard your stories.
What about Andrew? Do you have like a favorite one that you like, an idea or organization, or one that you've attended or seen?
I like the ones that are for me very specific. Like this is what you're going to do, and this is what this is like. There's an overall theme. One of the ones that come to mind is 7D FPS, which is the 7-day first-person shooter.
That was
one.
a good jam.
7-day FPS. Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's like, okay, we're doing first-person shooters, right? Go.
Yeah,
I mean, the rules are fact. It's like,
person.
yeah, the rules is just make something. There is no theme, and I mean, their FAQ is basically, can I? And the answer is yes. I mean, and they've had, a whole host of different things that you can do. I mean, explore gun mechanics. Go ahead. I mean, heck, do something where you don't even shoot a gun. It's just all.
Just have a gun in hand.
Yeah, it's like, how can you refresh this idea that in some ways has been done to death, at least, in AAA titles. I mean, in an oversaturated market where you essentially have some companies pulling a
we can never be
Madden where
done
they
with
just they have a
first-person
cycle where they just keep
perspective.
coming out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then there's even that one funny comic where it showed that, if you really look at the perspective, it's not really at the head. It's actually like if you
No.
had two eyes in your
Two eyes-
chest.
yeah, two eyes in
Yeah.
the chest.
I think people are familiar with that
Well,
one. So-
first person has some logical flaws with it. If you want to talk
Yeah.
about realism,
I mean,
but
they've tried to
yeah.
like rectify that in some games. Like
we'll get to
recently.
holodeck level eventually. It's just the problem is it's one of those things. If it was realistic, it wouldn't be fun.
No.
It's like people who say like
Yeah.
racing games, like, oh man, this new racing title is so realistic. Like, no, it's not. If it was realistic, you would be having fun with it. You'd immediately crash your car as soon as you hit that bump and do that sharp
Exactly.
turn.
Yeah.
there are racing games that are like that, and there are leagues where it is, hyper real. No,
Yeah,
it's not
well,
even
there
hyper
are
realistic.
more
It
realistic.
is
There's
realistic.
full
Yeah.
simulator ones, but those aren't the ones that are like the most popular.
No,
They don't have to
yeah.
be like Mario Kart. They don't have to be like extreme, but they mess with the physics a little
Oh, of
bit and
course.
make it
Yeah.
just a little bit more fun.
I mean, Gran Turismo still doesn't have like crash physics as far as I'm concerned.
no, I mean,
yeah.
like, Gran Turismo as an example is a game that, like, it's a good racing game. I'm not saying this is in any way a bad thing.
Yeah,
This is
no,
a
no,
good
it's a
thing.
great racing
But
game.
the physics are tweaked just a little bit from realism, just subtly, just to make it a bit more a fun experience.
Yeah, just so you don't, crash your car into oblivion when you're going 120 miles an hour.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for giving me an education in game jams. I got some ideas for how I'll make a really good jam. I like to end every show by talking about games we've been playing lately as well. So I've been playing Ascension, which is an awesome deck building game. In the
played that
vein
with
of
you
like
before.
Dominion. Did it come before Dominion or after Dominion? I actually don't know.
I have
It's
no
got,
idea.
It's also got just a ton of expansions.
I know that I played it with you before.
Yeah, it's very very it's very similar, but you have this kind of fighting mechanic in addition to the currency mechanic of buying more cards for your deck, and you're gathering victory points. And then once the communal pile of victory points are out, the game's over. I like it a lot. I definitely recommend it to people. There are digital versions out there as well as the physical one, but I'm always a fan of the physical game.
Oh yeah.
What about you? What have you been playing lately?
Oh, so I'm gonna do two because I'm not gonna go into the first one because I just want to kind of plug it. A Valley Without Wind. It's a really really weird like
Valley Without Wind.
yeah with like RPG 2D RPG just actual RPG. It's a very complicated one. Once you get past all the text, it's actually really engaging. I would suggest anybody who
What
really
platforms?
for Steam.
Okay.
So I would suggest anybody who's really into that kind of stuff, check it out if you can get past all the really wordy text. But surprisingly enough, and I know some people are gonna like get me on this, I've been playing MapleStory again.
There's nothing wrong with some MapleStory.
I love MapleStory. I missed that game so much. It got so convoluted, but I was like, you know what? I miss it so much, and I got back into it. And I'm like, I love being back in that world. Oh god,
it's a whole new level of nostalgia. For
Oh,
that kind
yeah.
of stuff too.
Oh yeah, so much. Like they've changed so much in the game, but it's so familiar. I'm like, this is one of the greatest MMOs I've ever played. Like I don't know why anybody would ever say it's not a bad game in any way. Like,
I don't know anyone who says it's a
oh
bad game.
god, it's so good. Like I could play that game for hours, and actually I've actually had to work it into my schedule to where I don't have to play it for hours because it's a game that demands your attention.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's like WoW and everything. They're all time sinks, but
Oh, yeah.
it's a good time sink.
It is a great time sink. I love playing that game.
What about you, Andrew? What have you been playing?
Honestly, well, I mean, a plug for a YouTuber, but I really enjoy watching Rock Lee smile and his indie impressions videos. And he had one to come out that I actually was playing a little bit before we got started here, and it's LPC, Low Poly Cylinder, which was actually made in a game jam.
Whoa,
Nice.
Yeah, and
very
Jolt Bolts.
appropriate choice there.
Yeah, no, and they actually have the vote going on too on Game Jolt, but. Yeah, I mean, I've been exploring, a lot of the indie. I think there's an indie database that, thousands of games you can go and play, a lot of them for free. And again, a lot of these things are
just
made
think
in a
about
game
so
jam,
many
and then they
free
throw it
indie
out
games
there,
out
get
there.
a larger audience, and find out is it worth. I mean, that might even be something where is it worth it for us to continue to work on this? Is there enough people that like it for us to make it better? But yeah, low poly cylinder, pretty cool. The developer is Ultraviolet. Again, made in a game jam. And you can just play it in your browser.
Oh, I love so, that we live in an
it's
age
really cool.
where we can like play games in like browser with the Unity plugin. That is amazing.
I mean, you can play games anywhere, right? Like
I
your
know.
phone, any device now plays games Well, the first thing to implement of a smart device is playing games on it. Right?
I know, right? Actually, so
that's
something
why like Pebble watches aren't taking off yet because you don't have games on them
exactly.
yet.
Actually, so strangely enough, I actually go back and play Notch's indie like jam game he made where you're like a zombie shooter. Like I actually routinely
Wasn't
go
it
back
for the 7-day shooter game jam.
Yes, I routinely go back and play that game
as previously mentioned.
because it's fun. Oh my god, it's so fun! It's impossible to win at all, but it's fun.
Some of those simple games, they are, really really fun. Like Get Set Games, I believe their big hit Mega Jump was a game jam game, and that went off and got millions and millions of downloads.
Again, Surgeon Simulator that started the simulator craze.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for being on the show. If you want to find more about it, you can go to bndow.com. We have past shows, show notes, all that cool stuff. You can also read more about me going to tobiahmarks.com. That has my blog, information to hopefully help developers, and hear about game jams that I might be organizing, like Alpha Game Jam. It's part of the Indie Game Developers of Silicon Valley Group. So if you happen to be in the San Francisco area between September 12th, September 14th, come on by to the Microsoft offises and have some fun and work on some cool alpha prototypes.
Do it. They have free soda.
All right.
Yes.
Devane, you got anything you want to plug?
No.
Twitter account?
Nah. Well, I got at Devane Martinez. If you guys want to,
you get a follower too.
Yeah, I get a follow. I'm surprisingly enough, like the last time I've been here, but from then and now, I've gotten a lot of game developer followers now. Like they actually,
I entirely credit this show.
Yeah, I credit being now because of that. But no, really, it's so weird being on that. But yeah, if you want to talk to me at Devane Martinez, that's where you can find me for more things. And Tobiah, I gotta say thank you for letting me back on the show and not having cameras because it is amazing to do things that I normally wouldn't have to worry about. I don't know, being on camera.
We can't the first few episodes we were doing video, and it was a lot of hassle, and I think most people just listen to the show anyway.
Yeah,
I listen to the show.
I listen to it.
It's now an audio only show.
Yeah, so now I could just screw with things on the table that don't even
have
to see what I'm doing.
Been dancing this whole time.
Yep,
You haven't seen.
I've stripped completely naked.
That is not true. All right, Andrew, where can we find more about you? Any interesting stuff?
Not at the moment.
You got nothing to plug on your
He's
Twitter
working
account?
on some big
nothing
things.
to plug.
All right, fair enough.
I don't tweet.
He's not at Twitter.
You got a LinkedIn though, right? We can plug the.
We can plug a LinkedIn.
Yeah, you can plug your LinkedIn.
Oh my gosh, no!
I've had people plug
their
LinkedIn's on the show.
On some things, and looking to revamp my portfolio. Changing directions in life. So yeah,
he's in the trenches.
So as soon as that's done, then I can share that.
All right, awesome. Well,
yeah, I'm kind of in the same as
participate in some game jams.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys again, and for everyone listening out there, go out and make some games.